So, Greg, thank you for joining. My name is Francis Thompson. I was one of the co-curators for selecting the images for the particular galleries in the virtual exhibitions for Black Lives Matter RVA Art 2021. And Greg, your work was selected as part of one of those galleries. I really appreciate you for participating in the show. Your work is excellent. I think your draftsmanship is just so refined and precise. So I just wanted to see if you have some time today to talk a little bit about your work that you submitted. If you want to chat how you created it, why you selected it for the exhibition.
Okay. I'm Greg Alston. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I reside in Petersburg. I'm an ROTC instructor at Virginia State with assigned duties over at Richard Bland College. The piece that I submitted was a commission for one of the professors at the school. And she asked me about a year or so ago, over a year ago, she said, "Hey, I would like for you to do a piece for me of Jesus Christ, but Black." And so I was like, wow, that's heavy. And I kind of put my head down to think about it. And I got thinking about, make no graven images. And I'm thinking all this stuff. But then I get to thinking also, I'm like, there are artists who are preparing pieces of what they think Jesus Christ looks like in different situations in many different churches and in many different platforms. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, I should be able to do it too. And then I'm like, challenge accepted. Right. So when it came down to thinking about the piece, I'm like, if I draw what I think he looks like, he'll look like me. And that's why I titled He Looks Like Me. Right. Because I'm like, no, I better wait for inspiration. So I just left the piece alone and just, I just let it sit until one day I went to a friend's baptism and I was walking through the cultural hall and I had my head down and I looked up and I saw a gentleman and I said, oh my God, you're exactly what I'm looking for. And then I had to show him some photographs that I had taken in some artwork. Say, hey, I'm an artist. Can I take your photo? Can you, and I had to like rush through my phone just to show him, that I am an artist, because everybody has a different perceptions of what art should look like. Mine is realism, others is abstract, right? So I'm showing him my work and I convinced him and he let me take his picture. I said, okay, now turn like this and look up here and do this and do that. And the piece is done in charcoal, right? Outlined in pencil. For a while I was working with a grid, and that was just to build up my confidence. So I went back through. I looked at this photo. I went into Photoshop. I built the size canvas I needed, put a grid on it, and then I proceeded to do the work. After he had asked me, he said, "Hey, how's my piece coming along?" And I was like, "Oh, yours is up next." So I had to kind of rush and flip after I finished another piece and started on his. And I had that project done, that commission done within a week of that gentleman. So I could show him. And he was like, oh my God, I didn't realize it was going to turn out like that. And then I gave it to the customer. And the customer was just blown away. Right. So I chose this piece because Miguel is a good friend of mine. And so I'm sitting here looking like, well, what piece do I do? What piece do I turn in? And I also looked up for the deadline. I was like, oh no, I got to get this turned in right now. So I had to go through many different pieces. I had another piece of Dr. King that I'd done for the same customer on 18 by 24 inch paper that I thought would have been a great representation as well. But I thought this was more what I was feeling for inspiration and aspiration. So I went through that and I decided to submit that for my piece. I had no idea that it would be selected as the main piece for that theme. And that just caught me by surprise. And I was like, man, I had to tell everybody that I'm just extremely humbled. I am humbled every day, because my idea for art is to leave my mark around the world and give customers something to smile about. That when they look up, they can feel good about the piece that I've given. You know,
Hmm.
so
That's
so
beautiful,
that's
Greg.
basically what I did for this piece. And my idea was if I draw him, he will look like me. So I have to not draw him so that it's not me in the image, but it's what I believe or feel that he looks like.
Wow. Well, it's quite interesting details there that the imagery, the figure is somebody that sat for you, that you connected with to make the image. So it really creates a sense of reality for the image. It's quite detailed. It's quite exquisite. And for the viewers that are watching, just to give a point of reference, Miguel Carter Fisher is another artist that's also has selected work within one of the other galleries too. Um,
Yes,
so thank you, Greg.
yes.
Inspiration, aspiration. It really does define that for me. The gaze, looking away from the viewer, looking up, having that hopeful look, that hopeful gaze. It's such a strong piece. So I really appreciate you uh, submitting the work into the exhibition. So I know the time goes by fast here. These are great comments. So I know you as an artist are working in Petersburg, Virginia. Is that right? Can you talk a little bit
That is
more
true.
about your work and maybe how the viewers can learn more about your artwork if they were interested?
Um, Currently, I'm in the process of building my portfolio, a digital portfolio, but I do have my artwork on Instagram as well and on my Facebook. But I leave most of my art and photography on Instagram versus Facebook. Facebook tends to be more political and, where you got family members and friends. And I feel like I want to reach out to more people on Instagram. So, so I put everything over there that I want to showcase.
That's right.
So,
And your
yeah,
work
so
are you focusing on portraiture type works, drawings? Maybe talk a little bit about your work in general as an artist, what your direction is.
yes, I love portraiture. I love people. I love connecting with people. So I talk to them. I can try to photograph them, um, and I like capturing their likeness. That was the big thing for me. When I saw images from Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, I was like, wow, as a kid, you know, I want to be able to draw something like that. I want to be able to capture people's likenesses. That's why I have a hard time sometimes with abstract because I'm like, right? I had a hard time when I took art in high school as a filler class just to say, I'm like, I told my art teacher, I'm like, Mrs. Jackson, I can't do anymore, you know, geometric shapes. This is driving me crazy. Can I do something else? And I showed her another drawing and she said, just turn in whatever you want and you'll get a grade for it. So I started working on uh, doing portraits. And I've always drawn for most of my life. Even as a little kid, I remember back in elementary school and probably kindergarten trying to draw a portrait. It was a big round face. My mother doesn't have it, you know, the portrait anymore, but it was a big round face, I think probably in crayon, you know. So that was me just trying to capture. But I always look to improve. I always look to try to change what I do to show people I'm not just a pencil artist or I'm not just a charcoal artist, but I've reached out with colored pencil and I started getting into acrylic painting, so I'm trying to expand my my skills and talents as to what I want to do.
That's excellent, Greg. Well, thank you. Yeah,
Well,
I
thank you.
actually have some connections to Petersburg. My family's there. I went to Richard Bland College, so that's excellent connection for your work. So I'm there quite often. So I hope to see more of your work. It really is beautiful.
Okay.
So thank you
Well,
again for
thank you.
participating in the exhibition. And is there anything else that you may want to share with viewers about your work or any thoughts in general with the exhibition?
I feel like that eventually I'm going to paint more. I just feel like it, that in my bones, that I'm working toward painting something. So the most recent piece that I have, I was working on an acrylic painting of Iron Man from Iron Man 1. When he came out of the cave and he started, blasting the fire, I actually have that rough draft sitting over there, or the one that I'm working on. I had a larger piece that I was going to do of Fred Sanford, but since I'm kind of nervous about working with acrylics to paint this. I don't want to work on something that's 40 by 30 and it doesn't look good. So I figured I better go small or smaller and, test it out there, work out some
Mm,
kinks, iron things out, figure things out, and just keep studying other artists. I'm always studying. So in the future, my goal is to apply for an MFA somewhere. I'm hoping to go to VCU is one of my goals, but they have limited seating, so I have to get on the working on my packet and trying to get into the program. I want to teach as well. So since I'm already a military science instructor, I want to teach people how to do things. So, but let me show you. Let me get this piece, and I can show you over the
sure, I'd
camera.
love to see it.
Oh. So as you can see in the back, in my background, oh, you probably can't. I have
I
another
can.
piece
I
that
can
I
see the
did.
piece hanging in the background. That's wonderful.
Yes, that's a print of it, but this is what I did
Nice.
with acrylics. So I'm trying this. It's rough, but you know, we learn and we grow, right?
That's an
And
excellent
then I
first
recently did
first
a
pass.
piece of Muhammad Ali on charcoal with charcoal as well. I don't know if you can see it in the background, but
We
that's
can a
one of
little
my other
bit.
pieces. That's one of my other pieces that I was working on recently that I just did for me. And then little did I know that his birthday was coming up, and I can send that to you just in case.
I'd love to see
So
that. Yeah. Yeah.
this way you'll have a copy of it. So, but that's just what I do. I love to working with people, talking to people, associating with people, and just trying to get better at what I do.
I appreciate that, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time. Again, thank you for participation in the exhibition. It's a really strong piece, and I hope to
Thank you.
connect further.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't know if Francis was a man or a woman. I'm sorry. I
No
was like,
problem.
okay. Right. But I like again, I feel very blessed. I'm thankful for you all selecting my piece. I'm thankful for the opportunity I had to submit something in it, just in general, because last year was a struggle for everybody,
Hmm.
you know, and we had a lot to deal with around the country, So again, this is my way of trying to give back to the community and trying to show people that we are more than just what you see on the surface. You know, we are more than what's on the surface. Because I spent many days arguing with friends and colleagues about what was going on uh, around the country. When it came to Black Lives Matter. So I'm
And I
just
appreciate
fortunate.
that. I think that the galleries really help to frame more conversation, more discussion. It's a way to reward and give some visibility to the artists' creativity and accomplishments that way. But there is that really important conversation of racial equality. What's happening in the world, in your neighborhood, as close as very close to where you are, and not just what's on the news.
Right.
This is real for a lot of people, and there are still people that need to learn. Um, and I hope that um, we can make an impact that way. But I
Right.
think that regardless, the work in all the exhibitions, your work is really strong. So I greatly appreciate you leading that particular gallery with your piece and your approach and your comments here. Um, I think the virtual exhibitions have allowed us to have a lot more accessibility. Uh, but when everything comes back to normal, I hope to maintain and build some more of these connections. So, Greg, I truly do. I hope to connect with you further, keep up with your work, um, and learn more. I wish you best with your career path, learning more. and also teaching. That's excellent. I think you've got really strong draftsman skills. Um, so I applaud you, and I really appreciate your participation in the exhibition.
Thank you very much. And it was an honor and a privilege. We have so much work to do. And I was a soldier for 24 years. And I felt like when I was deployed to Iraq, that the whole idea in the Middle East was to change the hearts and minds of the children, right? And I feel like that even in the States, we have to change the hearts and the minds of the children. You know, hatred and racism is something that's taught, you know. That's my perception that it's taught. You people just don't come out and be, oh, I just don't like them. No, somebody has to tell you why you shouldn't like them, you know. So I think if we can get past that and again have that conversation and dialogue with people about it, and they can understand that we are all people,
Mm.
and we're just as different and just as alike as insects. You know, they come in all shapes and colors and sizes, but they're still one. And we're all still one type of people. We're people. We all bleed the same thing. There's nothing different inside of us. We're all the same. You peel back the skin, we're all the same. You cut us, we all bleed the same. We got the same inside parts, you know, and people have to just remember we're all the same people.
I agree. Those are really strong points. It's made me think, how along the way does one pick up these negative attributes that causes racism? Once that happens, how do you change that? How do you turn that back? And it's going to be multiple different ways, I think, and it's hard work for all of us. And it takes
Right.
the initiative of the individual. And they may not even know that they need to change. So I'm kind of stepping outside of my comfort zone, and entering in the conversation, but I'm passionate about it. I feel like
Right.
uh, I still have a lot to learn in how I can help, and also understanding what the impact is for those around me. Not everybody's going to speak up and say, "Hey, I'm hurting," or "I'm in a situation." Um, I feel like for me, being outspoken more, uh, to assist in the conversation, to assist in the change or the healing
Right.
for others, that might help to encourage folks that are uncomfortable speaking up,
Right.
or
Right.
uh, it might be some other positive contribution. But I think all of us, if we try something, it really does matter. Um, that's what I hope.
Right. Right. I just feel like being a 53-year-old man, that things have gone full circle from me being a baby in the civil rights movement to me being a grown man. And it feels like the civil rights movement, you know? And the thing we had back then is we had people of different races fighting for us too. So it's like almost full circle, but more people are aware, right? More people get to see real time situations, right? Like George Floyd. If we didn't have cell phones in our hand, how would people know? They would just think, oh, this guy just did something wrong and, you know, he caused the police to, you know, kneel on his neck because he didn't want to, he didn't want to, you know, comply. That's what I'm going to say, comply, right? So everybody gets to see it now in real time, and you don't just get it to be where it's this is what happened. Oh, we don't believe it. They're lying. You know, now you get to see it in real time, almost real time. We turn the TV on and you're seeing it on TV.
Mm.
So it's something that everybody gets to feel that pain. And that's one of the things I wanted my friends to understand. I'm like, if I'm hurting, you should hurt too because I'm hurting, you know? And having that dialogue with my friends, like, hey, I should not be afraid to walk down the street at 50 plus years old. I shouldn't have that fear. But we have that fear when we're walking down the street, driving down the road, just minding our own business. So I have to tell them and educate them and teach them that this is something that's not right, you know?
I agree. Yeah, and
Wonderful evening. I know we were only supposed to spend 10 minutes on this, right?
yeah, I know. I was thinking about that. So I wonder if we're creating a challenge for the editing. But this has been a fantastic conversation. I didn't want to let go of all the talking points. So I really enjoyed this meeting with you, Greg.
Okay, maybe we have to get together in Richmond. I have
Yeah,
to ride up there.